Hey, it's Martin here from Martin Inspires, and today I want to talk about food for thought. So, really powerful topic, this one, because it was one of the things that made me and helped me move forward in my life. So, for many of us, we choose to live a life eating food which isn't helping us. And the term food for thought is often used very flippantly. I don't even know if that's the right word, but it works well for me. So we tend to be flippant with the saying food for thought, and what usually the context that we actually take it in is that, that person just said something, it gives me more to ponder on, to think on. And that's true, it's a good way, but really when we actually break it down into what it actually is about, food for thought is how are we nourishing our mind, our body, so that it functions correctly. For many people, they are actually fueling their body so that it is working for them. And what I mean by this is stimulants, coffee, sugar, all these kind of things that are actually helping them function every day. Energy drinks is a massive one. I know people who start the day with an energy drink, which straight away says to me, hey, you really aren't taking care of your body, and it needs that energy drink to actually start functioning each day. And the problem with that is that it creates absolute havoc within the human body. So I really want to break this right down to what I was taught, what I experienced, and how I was able to move forward and improve my situation. Because for me, my education was in the health and fitness industry. So I would just like to actually, now with what I know, I'd like to divide those two words completely apart, because health and fitness do not go together. Now, there's going to be maybe some people listening to this and going, oh, what a load of crap, I don't believe any of that. Trust me, just because you are fit does not mean you are healthy. This is a really important piece of the puzzle to understand. And the reason I say this is because for me, my education was have protein shakes, eat between 5 and 7 meals a day, make sure there's animal protein in those meals, which in all fairness, there's dairy in there, there's a lot of things which in all fairness are very high in acidity, which create acidic stress within the body, and therefore the body is working to try and eliminate that additional acidic stress that we are putting on it, not from what's created in everyday life via metabolic waste, the acidic metabolic waste that's created just through normal organ function. No, I'm talking actually about what we are putting in on a daily basis, which negatively affects us. And little did I know that at that time in my life, the amount that I was consuming was creating my body into being such an acidic state that it was actually having effects on my mental state. Now, there were other variables that took place in that, but because of my body being in an acidic state, it wasn't able to deal with the other challenges. And I'm encouraging you to look at what you're consuming on a daily basis and how it is potentially negatively affecting your mental, physical, and spiritual health. Because I promise you this, there is a high chance that you are being affected in a negative way. And I'm not talking about going all crystal clean and stuff like that, because it is important that we do get to that place, but it is very hard to get there overnight. And I'm going to expand on where I was at. For me, when I was living my life, the way that I was educated, the way that I was told, the way that I believed was the best way to do it, because all I wanted to have was the physique, all I wanted to have was the abs, all I wanted to have was the biceps. And I had that. And I looked fantastic. I looked incredible. If you see me on the beach, and I don't say this from a place of vanity, but if you'd see me on the beach, you'd go, wow, that guy's fit. That guy looks the part. But it's important to know, I became aware of the fact that I wasn't healthy, that I wasn't looking after myself. Because even though I was doing everything that I was told and educated and I got the physique, I had aches and pains. My body wasn't functioning right. I had low energy. I was all right when I was busy, but the second I stopped, I crashed. I was struggling all the time. But yet my education told me I was doing everything right. And it was only when I became consciously aware of how I started to spiral out of control, and what I turned to was that I started to actually become aware of what was triggering the pain in me, in my body, the inflammation in my body, the effects of my mental health. And really what it came down to was when I was experiencing the bullying and the discomfort and going through the depression, I turned to sugar, I turned to dairy. Very much so, I turned to dairy milk. And I used to get a level of satisfaction, very small level of satisfaction in the beginning of eating like a bar of dairy milk. They'd be like, oh, this tastes amazing, oh, it's great. But I'd be eating it because I was missing something, because I was feeling so much pain, because I was lost. And what happened with this was that no longer after I had eaten it, I started to feel discomfort. I started to feel sick. I started to actually feel like I wasn't worthy. Why did I go and do that to my body? Why did I go and eat that? I was emotionally eating, and it was triggering a high level of emotion and a low level of emotion. And the challenge was I was left with the low level of emotion. I was left to then fight and battle that pain. And asking myself, why did you just do that? Why did you put yourself through that level of pain? What was the benefit from it? For those split few seconds where you were like, this tastes amazing. I turned to a lot of dairy products. I turned to a lot of sugar products, donuts, lollies or sweets as they're known wherever you are. Chocolate. And not good chocolate, just crappy, rubbish chocolate that's marketed so well that we're conditioned to believe we need it to feel good, yet it affects our mental health, it affects our actual immune system, our mental health, every single part of our body it negatively affects. And yet, we choose to do it. And I remember when I was admitted into the hospital, I had this big thing that I'm the health coach, I'm the fitness coach, I'm this guy. I've got to make sure that nobody sees when I'm eating any of this stuff. And I used to do it. I was hiding from people. I was eating when I was hidden away, when no one would see me. And once everybody had gone to bed and they had done the rounds in the hospital, off I trotted to the machine where you get all your lollies for. I forgot what it's called, vending machine. And I'd spend around about $10 to $15 every night on lollies and chocolate, everything that was sugary, because I was in pain at the fact I was in a mental institute. I didn't want to be there. I had let myself down. I had lost everything around, everything I had ever known. And I was turning to the sugar. I was turning to the dairy products within the chocolate bars and things like this. And I was literally smashing chocolate bar after chocolate bar and bags of lollies and stuff like that. And I would hide all the wrappers at the bottom of the bin. One, because I was embarrassed to see them, but two, I didn't want somebody else to see them. And that's the level of pain and unworthiness that I was experiencing. And that's what was fueling me. And when we think of what I said before about food for thought, that was what I was consuming. No, it's not food at all. It has no nutritional value at all. So it is not food. It is crap that I was choosing to consume that was affecting my mental health, that it was affecting my physical health. And I watched myself put weight on. I watched myself get a belly. I watched all this happen, which made me feel even more insecure, made me feel even more unworthy of being here, of this gift that I've been given, this physical body. And these were all choices I was making, and They were basically fueling me to make more of those bad choices because I was becoming addicted to the sugar. All these things that were actually driving me every day and taking me away from how I truly wanted to be and feel. I mentioned about all the emotions that were going on. I'm getting, in all finish, as you're listening to this, if you can relate, you'll no doubt feel and are fully aware of the emotions. The high, you have the sugar high, and then the crash, and you want more, but you feel sick. Why did I eat that? I don't feel good. I don't feel energized. It was a waste of money. And this all happens on a daily basis, and it frustrates the hell out of us. And yet we still choose to do it. And it's from a place of insecurity. That's what it's actually from. It's from a place of huge levels of insecurity within ourselves. And yet we're manipulated by the big companies that this is going to make you feel better. This is going to actually bring you up, elevate your emotions up so you feel good. But then we feel bad afterwards, and we wonder why we can't think clearly. We wonder why we have this pain internally. We wonder why we have these thoughts of suicide. Because I can guarantee you this: if you are nourishing your body with good, high dense of nutritional foods, plants, the fruits, the vegetables, if you are getting this stuff, if you are eating meats, if you are eating fish, where's it sourced from? Is it good quality stuff that you're getting? If you are, it's going to be nutrient dense to help you. But if you're buying the cheap crap and you're not eating your fruits and vegetables, and you're getting stuff that's laid with all chemicals all over it, what do you think's going to happen to your body? How do you think you're going to function? You're going to be functioning so poorly. Your thoughts are going to be clouded. Your actions are going to be clouded. You may not even take action. The actions you take, you may have regret around them. It's all these things that actually we can get better when we make better choices. And we can only make better choices when we have a level of awareness. And this is why it's important for me to share today, because what I became aware of was the foods that I was consuming, was the foods that were affecting me, was the foods that were actually pulling me down and keeping me in a place of pain, a place of regret every time I had eaten them. And the only person that was in control, the only variable, was me. I was the one that was buying it. I was the one that was putting it in my body. No one else was force feeding me. So I had to take ownership of my actions. I had to take ownership of the results. I couldn't blame anybody else. I couldn't blame the hospital that they had the vending machine in there with a load of lollies in there. That would be absolutely stupid. Because I knew that I was where I was and I was experiencing what I was experiencing because of the choices I was making. And if things were going to get better for me, I needed to make better choices. So I became consciously aware of what I was consuming, and I made a note of what I was consuming, and I looked at what I could get rid of. And it wasn't a case of, as I mentioned earlier, getting rid of everything in one go. It was a case of one thing, changing one thing at a time that was going to make the difference for me. And it started with reducing the sugars. That was the first thing from memory. It was reducing the sugars. But I actually became more aware I did more study around water, because I was told that the water I was drinking was probably acidic and that was affecting my mental health. That it was an oxidant which would affect my mental health. So I was basically, in all fairness, I was confused, because my level of education was all around how drinking water was good for me. But what I was learning was that the water I was drinking was not good for me. The bottled waters were to be avoided. And all of a sudden I became aware. I learned more around brain health, which we have this incredible thing to put our health in somebody else's hands. We get an injury, we go to the doctor or the hospital, whatever it might be. We get sick, we get a cold, we get the flu, we go to the doctor. And we put our health in somebody else's hands, and we listen to what they've got to say, and we go with their recommendation. And it's not to knock doctors here. It's not to knock nutritionists or dietitians or anybody like that, because we only know what we know based on the education we've been given. However, we get to where we are today because of the decisions that we have made. If you think about it like this, if you want to lose weight, you no doubt put out your joggers and you look at what you're eating. If you want to go on a detox, you look at what you're eating, and in many cases they basically say if you want to detox, avoid sugars, avoid certain foods, and mainly eat fruits and vegetables and limit your meat intake. Drop out alcohol. Hey, why can't we do that every day? Why do we have to have such a high diet that's affecting us because of all the acidity, and then our body can't function the way it was intended to function because it's got to focus on getting rid of all this acidic stress that we're creating on a daily basis? And something that many people have no idea about: oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is the root cause of cancer. It's the root cause of all illness and disease, and it is worse than ever today because of the EMFs from the phones, the microwaves, the lights in your home. Everything that's around us is causing us to age, to rust, which is basically the oxidation process. Cut an apple in half, leave it on the bench, it turns brown. It oxidizes, it ages, it rusts. And this is happening all the time around us. So how can we reduce that? It's becoming aware of the environment that we're in, becoming aware of what we are putting into our bodies, becoming aware of what we're putting on our bodies. I just walked into the toilet, the chiropractor's there, and someone had sprayed a load of air freshener. I was almost choking because of the chemical toxicity that I was inhaling. Yet people inhale this every day because they spray it around the homes. They put those plug-in toxin crap into the home. And it affects the mental health. It affects their overall health. It affects the respiratory system. And I'm speaking with passion here because they are so toxic, they are affecting your health. And if you want your health to get better, you must become aware of what's happening around you and the choices that you are making, because that is when you can make better choices. If you don't have the awareness, you don't have the education, you cannot make better choices. Fresh air is not spraying all this stuff around you. Fresh air, as fresh as we're going to get it, is outside. It is not through spraying toxic sprays into your bathroom, into your home, where your family sleep, where your family tend to spend their time in. If you're washing your bed sheets with conditioners and all this, you are lying, and your children or your grandchildren are lying in toxins, and you're inhaling this. And yet people want their life to get better, people want their health to get better, and yet they were doing this on a daily basis. But you can only make better choices when you become aware of it. And if you're listening to this and you're not taking action, then wow. You're going to wait until you get sick, and then you're going to react to your health. Like 90% of the population around the world become sick and they react. That's what we're really good at. Oh, that won't happen to me. Oh my God, I've got cancer. What do I need to do? I need to get better. React to the health. Instead of taking preventative action is the key. And the only way you can do that is by learning from people who have done the due diligence, who have gone outside of the government educational system. I worked with nutritionists and I've been like, that's acidic, that's acidic, that's acidic. Why would you put that in somebody's body? That's because that's what I was told. It's part of the food pyramid. Hey, maybe you haven't been told the actual truth. Maybe you need to actually get further education and not believe everything you've been told by the government. I mean, we could get into conspiracy theories here, but I'm not going to. But the point being is that it is your body, it is your life, it is your health. And unless you are prepared to take ownership for that, then you're never going to experience the life that you are really truly worthy of. Because you're letting the big corporations control you. You're letting people with a knowledge that's been given to them by the government control you. And I'm saying this because that's where I was. But I looked outside the box, and that's why things got better for me. If I continued with the education I had got, I would not be where I am today. I may not even be here today, because the personal development that I did helped me become the person I am today. And I know that you have 100% greatness within you. But in many cases it's been suppressed with all the crap that you've listened to and been conditioned with and allowed yourself to be conditioned with along your journey to this point. And if you're going to tap into that greatness and experience it and move forward in your life, you're going to have to look outside the box. And it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be challenging. However, it's going to be worth it. It's going to be so worth it, and you are worthy of experiencing it. So I want to just finish on this. Be consciously aware of what you're consuming. Make a note. When I remove sugar, dairy, and I still have times when I have sugar, don't get me wrong, but I know that it affects me and I feel it. I don't beat myself up about it though. I allow myself to have it when I wish to have it. Then I'm consciously aware of how I can improve my situation, how I can improve my nutritional intake. But I also, over a 2 to 3 year journey, cut out 5 animal protein meals down to 0. I don't eat animal protein anymore. I don't eat fish. And the reason for that is because it's acidic and it affects my body. And I don't want to be putting more and more acidic crap into my body. You save so much money when you remove that from your diet, from your nutritional intake. I'm not saying everybody should be vegan. That's not my belief. And I don't class myself as vegan because that's putting myself in a box. When anybody asks me, well, what are you or what do you eat? I was like, I have a plant-based diet. It's about 98% raw plant-based. And people go, oh, how the hell can you do that? Hey, I chose to do that because I feel better, because I think clearer. It's not for everybody. But the only reason, in all fairness, it's not for everybody is because we've been conditioned to believe we're supposed to have meat with every meal, or with pretty much every main meal. Meat or fish. That's what the conditioning has been. So when we don't have that, we feel like there's something missing. And when we lose something, we want to find it. That's the way we're conditioned as well. So if things are really going to get better, we can look at, well, what am I doing that I can improve? Maybe I can just cut down meat. For me, I went from 5 meals a day to 1 meal a day, to then twice a week, to once a week, to then just having fish twice a week, I think it was. And then that was it. Over a journey I basically went and said, well, what's the point? I stopped having eggs. You could class me as vegan, but I just feel it's putting people in a box and categorizing people, and we're very good at doing that. And in all fairness, we're far more than that. So, the important thing here is that I really want you to take away the importance of reflecting on where you're at. When you're having certain foods, how are they affecting you? What's going on in your life that's encouraging you to go and eat these foods? Because it's only when you've become consciously aware of the environment that you're putting yourself in and the situations you're putting yourself in, are you able to understand, hey, well, when I'm in this situation or when I'm around this person, I'm being triggered. And the best way for me to actually remove the trigger is to maybe not be around that person or put myself in that environment. And if it's work, apply for another job. Let's be fair. Apply for another job. Because for me, I had to have 2 mental breakdowns to get off the minding site that I was on before I was able to move forward with my life. And in all fairness, for the next 6 months, it spiraled out of control and went absolutely ballistic into almost suicide. But hey, that's because I kept going and kept going and kept going. So listen to somebody who's been there and been through the pain and come out the other side and has learned the lessons and knows exactly when they are put into a situation where it is triggering them and they need to step out, remove. But also reflect on the trigger and find out what it is I need to learn from that. Because there's a lesson in everything. There's a lesson in every single person that triggers you, and every single conversation you had that's triggered you. There's a lesson in all of it. And as I mentioned, the only way you're going to get better is by learning the lessons, becoming aware of everything that's gone on. So I'm going to leave you with that. I'm going to love you and leave you. But I just want to talk about, be consciously aware of what you're putting in, what you're putting on your body, what the environment is around you. Can it be improved? Can you make one change today that's going to improve you? Instead of having that cake after lunch, don't have it. Have some celery, have an apple. No, it doesn't sound as exciting, but guess what? It'll positively affect your health. It will help you move forward, especially with your mental health. Getting clarity there, it's huge. And I know that if I fall off the wagon and I start feeling down, the first thing I look at is, one, how much fluid have I had today? Water is the only fluid I really drink. How much fluid have I had today? What has been my nutritional intake? I may have one solid meal a day, and that's pretty much all I have each day now. And I feel so much better. Bearing in mind I used to have 7 meals a day. I have 1 a day now. People say to me, I can't do that. Absolute crap. Anybody can do it if they wish to do it. As always, thank you so much for your time. Very grateful for you being on. I hope you've got a lot of value from that. If you have, please comment below. Share this video, like the post. And if you are watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you get notified of any other times that I go live or I post any videos. Peace, love, and happiness. Bye for now.